Hey guys, I'm live. I just want to say a couple things. First of all, yeah, sometimes uh, somebody like asks which Mormon church I go to, and I kind of snapped back because it sounded like maybe he was, uh, nefarious somehow and wanted to know that, and I'm sorry I reacted that in that direction. But in my defense, I had just survived an assassination attempt. Also, I have many haters and people that would that might want to hurt me and or try and and furthermore, it's because of my dad being a 6'3" Navy SEAL. I kind of err on the side of caution rather than just assuming the best of every situation. It's just how I'm trained. It's just how I am. So I apologize, but that's just part of how I keep alive and safe in this world, and especially with all the haters I have. So anyway, um, but then once I realize something's okay, then I'm good with it. But I just have to. I can't just assume that right away. If someone comes on my yard or something, or up to my door, I don't just go, "Hey neighbor, how you doing?" I say, "What do you want?" first, and then if I find out that the situation is safe, then I go in that direction. So, and the other thing I want to say, it's not related to that, but I've been watching Jimi Hendrix live in Monterey, 1967 American Landing, and I never say much about Jimi Hendrix. I have really not talked about him much, and I've tooted the horn of everybody else, but haven't really done it with him. And maybe that's because he's so special as a rock guitarist. Other than Alan Holdsworth, who's not a rock guitarist, Jimi Hendrix just blew us all away. The way he, and not just his lead playing either. If you listen to his rhythm stuff, or for that matter, his rhythm and his lead kind of go into one sometimes. I can't tell if he's playing a rhythm, a lead, or both sometimes. And his style was so not like anyone else and so hard to imitate. And if you really listen to it with an open mind, it leads to the question: how did he do it? Was he like an angel or something? I think, and no one plays like that. No one, but yet in my defense, sometimes when I really dig deep and and I just start playing from my heart and I'm really just take all the stops out. I find myself sounding a little like Jimmy, at least in style, not maybe not in technique and in exactly how he played, because I'm not sure anybody ever will do that. But just the gist of his sound is what I start to sound like when I'm really just having the most fun and have had a few breakthroughs maybe, and I'm on my game. Like my last live, which I called the one I just did in the hippie room yet last night. That had that had a lot of Hendrixness to it. I think when I play the chords, I play chords like the kind of chords he likes. The seven sharp, the dominant 7 sharp 9 chord, which is called the Hendrix chord. I even have a version of it that I call the Wiseman chord. It's similar, but um, and I enjoy it when I start playing like that. When I start being influenced by him. I'm not saying I am him, but when I start to sound like I've listened to him like a billion times, I think that's when I'm having the most fun, and that's when I'm most on top of my game. I mean, I love classical stuff too, like Ingve, and I love straight out rock like Van Halen, and I love Randy Rhoads and all the great guitarists. Um, but Hendrix is so great that maybe that's why I haven't talked about him yet until now. He deserves a special place, and he deserves his own category almost. So now that I've talked about everybody else but him, I want to say that he was the greatest rock guitarist that ever lived, and I concede that. Like, dude, I don't even know where he came from. I mean, how did he do it, kind of thing. I answered a question on Quora, who is my favorite three-piece band, and I said Rush, and they are. But I could write the same thing with just as much um, uh, heart and truthfulness in my heart to say that the Jimi Hendrix Experience was also that might even be my favorite three-piece band. In fact, it probably is. I just didn't wasn't ready to say that when I answered Rush, and I probably just answer from the top of my head type of thing. But if I really think about it and dig in, I think the Jimi Hendrix Experience is the best trio that ever was. And then after that, it's a tie between Cream and Rush, at least to me. So and the Jimi Hendrix Experience is my favorite album CD. It's my number one desert island album. If I was on a desert island and I could only have one album, it would be Our Experience by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And my favorite song ever all time is Third Stone from the Sun, which is the ninth song on Our Experience, Jimi Hendrix's first album. So I love you, Jimi Hendrix, R.I.P. I love you guys. Peace, rock and roll.